In the spirit of reconciliation, Up Past Bedtime would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all the incredible lands in which we record this podcast. By extension, we pay our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, their past and present elders, and the connection they have to Australia's land, sea, and community. Hello and welcome back to Up Past Bedtime. I'm Bella Messina and I'm going to be staying up late with you tonight. And I am coming to you as someone who is entering her last year of her 20s. In between this episode being released and the next episode being released, I'm turning 29. On June 2nd, I'm a Gemini baby. I always get told by everyone that I am like the ultimate Gemini. Like any type of personality trait you associate with Gemini, apparently I have. I'm not really into like zodiac signs or whatever. I am having my very last year in my 20s, which is really wild to say. When I was a bit younger, like around 25, I did not find turning 30 like something that was scary, or I didn't feel like it was old or any type of like milestone that I should dread. And I don't know, like the closer I've gotten, the more and more I've felt afraid of turning 30. I think it's because I have this concept that at 30, you kind of got to have your life together a bit more. I feel like, you know, we're all told like 20s is for experimenting and having fun and doing all different types of things. And then 30, that's when the real adulthood begins, which is, you know, even silly because I had a baby, well, 2 babies, and got married, and now have gotten divorced all within my 20s. So I definitely was not just like being silly, having fun and experimenting in my 20s. But yeah, I've actually started to get a bit nervy about turning 30. And so I have decided to go into this last year of my 20s really open and ready to make the most of, you know, the last 365 days and start a new decade completely fresh. And I thought a really fun episode that we could do together to celebrate my very last year of being 20 was 29 lessons I have learnt in my 29 years on this earth. One thing I can say for sure is your 20s are wild. They stretch you, they humble you, they break you, they rebuild you. And I think a thing that I have learned is you really come out both softer and stronger. As a result of them, I feel like they really give you a good bit of life experience to move forward with. The past year alone has brought me the biggest physical and emotional shifts in my life. I don't think they could have been bigger. I've had separation, co-parenting, diagnosis with ADHD and ASD, solo living, rediscovering myself. There has been so much that has been going on. So what better way to honor the last 29 years than by sharing the 29 best lessons I've learned. Welcome to season 3 of Up Past Bedtime with me, Bella Messina. This season, we're doing something different. Something special. This is going to be a true exploration of womanhood, of reconnecting to who I am and who I want to be. We're diving deep into my journey of rediscovery and growth as I navigate motherhood, healing, and everything in between. This season, I'm inviting you to come along with me because maybe you're finding your way back to yourself too. This is our season to rediscover her. Think of this as our late night heart-to-heart where nothing is off limits. Because as always, the best conversations happen when you're up past bedtime. So I have separated my lessons into 3 different categories, and that is the lessons that broke me, the lessons that grew me, and then the lessons I will be taking with me into my 30s. I just found this like a really good way to break down all the things that I've gone through and all the things I really truly believe in and I think have helped shape me and made me better as a person. So we're going to jump straight into the first category, and that is the lessons that broke me. My first lesson: not everyone is meant to stay. This has been the hardest lesson to learn and to accept and to move forward with. And of course, I've had to learn this in terms of my marriage and my relationship. I've also had to learn this in other relationships in my life that has, come to fruition in my 20s. Friendship, I've had family relationship breakdowns, and sometimes people are just meant to be in your life for a season and not forever. And I know when you're younger, that is a really hard concept to grasp. I think, we're all guilty of, being young and being like, oh, this person's going to be, my best friend forever. They're going to be the love of my life. They're going to be whatever. And I think I've really learned as I got to the end of my 20s is sometimes a person can just serve a purpose for a little bit and then move on. Some people were only ever meant to be part of your life for a season. They are not meant to be a main character that goes for the whole show duration. Sometimes they're just a cameo. Sometimes they teach you something quickly and they get out. Sometimes you have a lot of things to learn from people. Of course, sometimes you have people who are your ride or dies. But if someone isn't, that's okay. Lesson number 2 is your rock bottom doesn't define you. And man, has this been a hard one for me to truly believe. I think in my 20s, I have had a lot of ups and downs. And as someone who is trying to be a reformed people pleaser, I am very good at letting my low points dictate the value I have in myself. And I've had to learn over time that every single person ebbs and flows, and everyone has things they're not proud of. Everyone has parts in their lives that, are low and crappy and hard. And that does not make a person. That can grow a person, but that doesn't define who you are. And I think I really learned this one when I had postpartum depression. I do not define myself by who I was as a mother, as a partner, as a friend, as a human when I was in the pits of my postpartum depression. And I'm allowed to not let that define me. And I'm allowed to say that was a season that I was really struggling in, and now that season is over. Lesson number 3, you can forgive someone and still never let them back in. I think, when I was younger, I had this big idea that forgiveness equaled access to me. And I have really learned in the grace of getting older that you can let someone go and you can say like, I accept your apology. I don't have ill will towards you, but I don't want you to eat at my table anymore. And that's okay. Like you can say like, I hope you're fed. I hope you have a full table. I hope you are well looked after and there is a roof over your head. I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't want you at my table. I don't want to be at your table. We're done. And that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't mean you actually haven't forgiven the person. It just means that you have learnt from the lesson they served. Forgiveness does not have to mean that that person then is back in your life. You can let bad feelings towards someone go without letting them back in. Lesson number 4, and man, oh man, did I have to learn this the hard way many times. Rest is productive. I'm going to repeat that one. Rest is productive. This one ties into a lot of different aspects for me. Mum life, neurodivergent burnout, unlearning a lot of the things I thought around who I was and my way in the world and my identity and who I am as a woman. I have always thought that to be productive, I have to be achieving. I have always thought that to have value, I had to be productive. And I really devalued rest in most of my 20s, I would say. And now I am really a big believer in that rest is just as important as times of grind and hustle, okay? You need to replenish your body. You need to have down times. That we are not AI. We are not robots. We can't just like grind, achieve all the time. Every single person on the planet needs time of rest. Like look at Taylor Swift, the most successful woman on the planet, quite literally. And she goes into years sometimes where she's not in the public eye, she's not creating, she's not doing anything. She is just recouping and resting. And that's okay. It is okay to not be on all the time. It is okay to not grind all the time. And I actually have found the more I have rested, the more productive and more successful I could be. Lesson number 5, you are not too much. You were just around people who wanted less. This is definitely a really powerful lesson that I learned through my diagnosis and management of my ADHD and ASD. I was told my entire life, you are too much, you are too much, you are very intense, you are a big personality, you take up a lot of the oxygen in the room. Like, I've always been kind of encouraged by people to dampen my sparkle, and I did do that for pretty much all of my 20s. I minimized myself. I put myself in side character roles. I put myself in cheerleader only roles and, not star quarterback roles. I made myself very, very small. And I think when you do that, you attract people who want you to do that, right? And so then you kind of get surrounded by this energy of being told, like, you are liked better if you are smaller. And then I kind of realized when I actually was my full self and just let myself be my full self, I attracted people who liked me as my full self. And I realized, I actually don't have to be less. I just need to find people who want more. Number 6, if it costs your peace, it's too expensive. This is in all different types of circumstances: money, work, socializing, relationships. I have truly, truly learned that my peace is one of the most valuable assets that I have, and I am not going to give that up for anyone, okay? If me being involved in something in any way, like if the price is my contentness and my peace and my safe space and security, it's not worth it. There is nothing on this earth that is worth me giving that up for. Peace is now my measure of success, okay? Actually, I take that back. The one thing I will give my peace up for is my children. If you are not birthed from my body, you ain't taking my peace, because I would give up anything for my girls. But being able to have moments of peace, protecting my peace, embracing like slowness, quietness, that to me is success, okay? Because I did the grind, busy, sacrificed everything for everyone, and it was so miserable and unfulfilling. So now I've really learned to lean into the idea that calmness and peaceness, is that a word? My peace is something that truly fills me up, that truly makes me feel happy, secure, safe. And if I am in a state where there is a huge aura of peace, I'm doing well. Number 7, you don't have to be who you were yesterday. It is okay to grow. It is okay to evolve. It is okay to find new parts of yourself, get new interests, get new hobbies, get new friends. We are not designed to stay the same. That is the whole point of going through your 20s, is to learn and grow and develop and get older and get more experience under your belt. You are not meant to be how you were when you were 20 years old. Okay. And that is in terms of your body and your looks. That was one I really had to embrace, is your body and the way it looks is meant to evolve. You're not going to look like a 16-year-old prepubescent teenager anymore. And the personality you have is meant to grow and develop too. A big problem I had in my marriage was the concept around, I'm not the person you met when I was 18 anymore. That's just impossible. I have gone through years and years and years. I have become a mother. I have had my frontal lobe develop. There is so much change, and that's okay. It is not a bad thing. And for the last one in this segment of lessons, lesson number 8, healing isn't always linear and it isn't always pretty. And This is one recently that I've added to my list of lessons and has particularly come up during my divorce, and that is the huge up and down roller coaster that is letting go of a long-term relationship, and how, one moment you can feel really up, really positive, really moving forward, and then, a week later you can be on the down and feeling really low and feeling like you've gone backwards a step, and that is unfortunately very normal. I've also learned that, growing as a person and healing as a person, it is not pretty. Okay. A lot of it is messy. A lot of it is very emotional, lots of crying, lots of confusion, lots of negative emotions. That is part and parcel of processing something. Okay. It is not meant to always be easy. I wish it was. I wish life was always meant to be easy and fabulous, and there was nothing that made us feel really shitty. But unfortunately, to grow and learn and evolve, have to go through some shit stuff, and that sucks. But I am also trying to remember, to grow, it's necessary. You physically can't do it without it. Like, if you do not experience any type of hardship, any type of trauma, any type of sadness, any type of anything, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. You're not evolving. You're not growing. Unfortunately, it is part of the human experience. Alrighty, and that leads us into the second part of the lessons I have learned in the last 29 years. Saying I'm 29 is just so freaking weird. Like, every time I'm saying it in this episode, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 next year. It's okay. All right, so this is the lessons that grew me. So lesson number 9 out of 29 is listen to your gut. It's always been right. I went through a big stage of my 20s where I let go of intuition, okay? And I stopped listening to my gut, and I stopped leaning into what I knew was right, and instead let other people direct me. And I regret it. Okay, that little quiet niggly voice that sits in the bottom of your stomach, that is the real you. That is the very cool evolutionary part of us that is taught to survive and to know, especially as a mother, that is a superpower that we have. Listen to it. If your gut is telling you no, listen to it. Honor it. Don't let people gaslight you out of believing your gut. It's going to get you places if you trust it and you let it. Lesson number 10, being misunderstood isn't your problem to fix. And this kind of comes into the category of you don't owe anyone a version of yourself that is easier to digest. If someone doesn't get you, they don't get you. You don't have to change yourself for them to get you. You don't have to work on yourself, to be more palatable. It's none of your business. What people think of you, especially if it's negative, is none of your business, and it is not your problem. The only person you have to worry about is yourself. And I am the biggest believer in that now. I actually had some girlfriends over the other day, and I was talking to them about this and the idea of like, I no longer get social anxiety. And I no longer struggle with things like that because I just truly don't believe it is my problem or burden to carry anymore. I know who I am. I understand who I am. I like who I am. And that is all I need to worry about. If I am not someone's cup of tea, I'm not someone's cup of tea. Lesson 11, masking who you really are is exhausting. Amen. I obviously did a whole episode on masking 2 episodes ago, and I went much deeper into my thoughts around this, but stop trying so hard to hide who you are is a big thing I had to learn, because that is going to burn you out. You cannot rest and you cannot rejuvenate if you never allow yourself time to be in a state of authenticity. And that is the crux of the matter. Unfortunately, you cannot do anything if you don't allow yourself to truly show who you are. And trust me, the more you fight it, the more tired you're going to get. Lesson number 12 is being liked is overrated. Being known is better. When I was a people pleaser, And I thought that, everything in my life would be perfect and happy and amazing if I made sure that I was serving everyone around me. I was miserable. I was truly miserable. I felt so isolated. I felt like no one saw me, no one understood me, no one knew anything about me. And in the last 8 months, since allowing myself to just be who I am and let people see who I am, and realizing by doing that people truly have got to know me and therefore support me in the best way, has been so validating and so eye-opening. Being known is being loved, truly being loved. Pleasing and performing and meeting expectations that are not your own all the time is not true love and is not truly being appreciated by those around you. And it is not going to be this magic shield that protects you from bad things happening. Trust me, I did everything I could to be the perfect person for everyone else, and my life still fell apart. My lesson number 13 was my diagnosis didn't change me. It explained me. I was really apprehensive to get diagnosed at first because I thought that it would change my whole life and change the person that I am and change how other people saw me, until I realized that I didn't just suddenly get ADHD or ASD once I got a diagnosis, all right? I had always been that way. That had always been a part of my identity. I now just know it. I know that, and I can account for that, and I can account for why I do the things I do and why my brain works the way that it does. And that was the biggest relief I could ever give myself. Lesson number 14, confidence comes from doing it even when you're scared. I think that is a massive misconception about confidence, is that someone with confidence is never afraid. We're afraid and we do it anyway. This comes in so many forms for me. Even starting this podcast was me pushing through the fear. I didn't want to start this because I was like, no one would want to listen to me. No, it's going to flop. No one's going to listen. It's not going to be able to make it through a first season. Like, I might as well not do it. And I just had to tell myself, back myself. I know you're afraid. Give it a shot anyway. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, it doesn't get through a first season and you go on and do something else. It's okay. This also came with like the idea of living alone. All the decisions I have made post-separation, I have been able to do them with confidence because I didn't discredit the fear. Okay, I acknowledged the fear and I pushed on anyway. And I actually think you can get confidence from being completely honest of like, I am afraid. I am scared to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that gives you that extra like oomph behind yourself. I waited till I felt ready. I would never do anything. I realized that readiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Lesson number 15, you are allowed to take up space. This is the hardest one to swallow as a woman, I feel. The idea that you have to make yourself smaller and you have to make yourself very flexible to fit in with others, to achieve things, to be successful, to be liked. But the thing is, not everyone is meant to be quiet. Actually, in fact, pretty much no one is meant to be quiet. We as a species are meant to speak. We are meant to grow. We are meant to share. We are meant to have a community. We are meant to be our biggest, bestest version of ourselves. And unfortunately, to do that, you need to take up space. You cannot self-sacrifice and diminish yourself 24/7. It doesn't work. And now my final lesson in this segment, lesson number 16, you can be messy. Oof, that is a big one for Miss Perfect over here, or Miss tries to be perfect all the time. I've had to learn that unfortunately, everyone is messy. No one is perfect all the time, and that's okay. You're allowed to have moments. You're allowed to have adult tanties. You're allowed to be overstimulated. You're allowed to have bad emotional regulation. You are allowed to do things that disappoint you or others, or you're allowed to do things that aren't the best and you wish you didn't do. It's okay. You can be a mess sometimes. You don't have to have it together all the goddamn time. People who are meant to be around you won't flinch or pull away when things get messy. Okay? If they get it, they get it. And you won't need to explain yourself. And if they don't, No amount of changing or explanation is going to help. Okay, that's it. People who truly understand you, who truly see you, they will give you grace. They will give you space. They will let you have your moment. Okay, people who don't, they will move on, and you're back at lesson 1, understanding that not everyone is meant to be around all the time. I feel like I'm absolutely zooming through these lessons, and I don't know if that is a result of me doing so much reflection in the last 18 months and so much growth, so much therapy, so much demasking, so much, deconstructing. I really truly believe all these lessons that I'm sharing, I feel like I have reflected on them time and time again. And I think that's why I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the lesson and this makes total sense. Like, of course, hopefully you guys are also understanding what I'm meaning. And also if you are a little bit older and have already gone through your 20s, I'm hoping you are listening and being like, heck yes, I also learned that. I also agree. Or if you haven't, I hope that maybe I am making you reflect on something new. So the last, lesson 17 to 29, however many lessons that is, 12. Is that correct? Yes. The last 12 lessons I've put in the last category, which is lessons I will be taking with me into my 30s. I am so excited for a fresh new decade, and I have been spending quite a bit of time thinking about the person I want to be going into my 30s and, potentially some of the stuff I would like to achieve in my 30s or I'd like to cross off my list. In saying that, I am now very loose around the idea of future planning, but I think all of these things will be really invaluable to take with me into the next season of life. So, lesson number 17, enjoy the moment. The future isn't guaranteed. I was just talking about this on my subscribers platform on Instagram. The idea of I spent a lot of my 20s not enjoying the things that I had because I was so focused on looking forward. And I would be like, oh, I won't enjoy like X, Y, and Z now because like soon I'll be, in this place and then I can enjoy that thing. And that was on so much. Like in my marriage, in my house, in my career, in everything, I was just so focused on the future that I didn't take in my current surrounds. And then I learned the really, really hard way that nothing in life is guaranteed. Absolutely nothing. I wasted so much time planning for and looking forward to a future that will never eventuate now. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. When I realized that, it shook me up for a good while. I was like, crap. I had told myself for years and years and years, sacrifice this now because, in 2 years' time, like X, Y, and Z, or in 10 years' time, X, Y, and Z. And now I'm like, crap, you should have just enjoyed the time that you had. Lesson number 18, and this is the biggest lesson that I have learnt recently. You are the love of your own life. Do not give that power to anyone. The most important love you will have in your life and the most important relationship you'll have in your life is the one you have with yourself. Don't let anyone get that twisted for you. Lesson number 19, nothing is ever wasted, even the wrong turns. The mistakes we make and the time we spend in the wrong place teaches us so much. I kind of touched on this before, the idea that like you cannot grow, you cannot evolve, you cannot be a better person if everything is easy all the time and you are never uncomfortable, you are never pushed, you are never tested, you'll just never get anywhere. And so now I have learned to look at every wrong decision I've made or every time I've spent time, energy, love, whatever in the wrong place as the biggest lesson, and I am grateful for every single lesson and therefore it can't be wasted. Lesson number 20 is protect your energy like it's your child. I do this actually not just with energy, but with a lot of things. I am like, okay, imagine this is your baby. What would you say to your baby? What would you do for your baby? I think when you put yourself in the mindset of, okay, how would you approach this lesson or this teaching or this moment or this situation or this person if they were your child? I always say, like, especially with the changes in my romantic relationship and my marriage breakdown, a big thing that I just kept saying to myself was, in 15, 20 years, if Rosie came to you and told you X, Y, and Z, what would you say to her? Okay, now go and do that. And I think, especially with energy, protecting your energy like I would protect the peace of my own child and the feelings of my own child and the environment of my own child is so important and so cool. And it's also really healing to your inner child and yourself to give yourself the grace that you would give to your child as a mother. Oh my God, if 21-year-old me, if 25-year-old me read this, her eyes would actually boggle out her head. Lesson 21, you don't need a 5-year plan. You need peace now. I was obsessed with future planning, obsessed. I don't think you could have met someone more obsessed with planning every single minute detail of their future. I had a 5-year plan, I had a 10-year plan, I had a 20-year plan. Okay. I wanted to control and contract and suffocate everything in my life. Truly, that is kind of what it turned out to be. I was so anxious about the future that I didn't enjoy a single thing in the present. And I wasted, again, so much time planning for a future that never eventuated. Life happened. Things changed and I fell apart because I had been like, no, this isn't in my plan. This isn't what I'm, needing to be doing. I need to be doing X, Y, and Z. Oh my God, I haven't been able to do X, Y, and Z. My life's over. It's done. What am I meant to do now? And I've kind of learned it's okay to have aspirations. It's okay to have vague guidelines of places you would love to be, in 5 years, 10 years, but you don't need a step-by-step plan of things you specifically have to meet. Just enjoy what's going on around you right now because you will wake up one day and it will be gone and you will be sad you missed the opportunity to enjoy it. Trust me, if you're younger and you're listening to this, you do not need a 5-year plan. You are not late. You are not behind. Enjoy where you are right now because one day you will be wishing for it to come back. Lesson number 22, ask for the fucking help. People want to help you actually. Just ask for it. Just ask. Just ask. You will be shocked the amount of people who want to rally around you and support you and help you. You're not weak for needing help. Everyone needs help. We are pack animals, okay? We are designed to live in a community and to have people share the load and help us. Just ask for it. And if someone says no, ask someone else. There are people who want to love on you and want to help you. Stop making it harder for yourself. Lesson number 23, don't turn and look sideways. Keep your eyes on the road in front of you. I feel like especially in your early 20s, this is a very easy one to fall victim to. I think every single person could raise their hand and say like, yeah, I was a real sucker for the comparison game. And now as I've gotten closer to 30, I have really learnt, pop your blinkers on, don't look sideways, focus on running your own race because you're not going to get anywhere looking sideways while trying to move forward. Okay? You're just going to end up hurting yourself and with lots of injuries and lots of mistakes and a big fat mess. Okay. You can never compare to someone else's journey because you're not living it and you're not living in their skin day in, day out, and you're not seeing the full entire picture. The only person you can focus on is yourself and the race that you are running. Lesson number 24, joy is found in the ordinary. There is no amount of money. There is no amount of amazing experiences. There is no amount of craziness, busyness, fastness that is going to bring you joy for a long time. It might bring you like a small snap of joy, but you are going to find the most contentment in your life by appreciating and enjoying and finding the joy in the everyday. I have been the happiest in my life in this season of life because I have learned to take in every single day. I am in the biggest hot mess of my life. Like if you looked at my life on paper, she's stressful. She's not the best, but I'm the happiest I've ever been because I'm actually enjoying the little things. I'm grateful for the little things. I look forward to the little things, and therefore I am much, much happier. Lesson number 25, relationships take work, but they're worth it. All relationships, romantic, friendships, your relationship to your kids, your relationship as a sister, as a daughter, whatever, every single relationship takes work. It is not just going to fall in your lap. It is not just going to be perfect without you doing anything, but having very diverse ranges of relationships in your life is so worth it. It is worth every single bit of effort you put in. It is important to show up for your friends. It is important to show up for the people in your life that you love. It is important to be honest. It is important to give and to take, okay? It is not a one-way street. And it is not something that is easy all the time, but it is not also something to just give up on. And I know people find that confusing because didn't you leave your husband? Trust me, I did so much work on that relationship. Not every single one can serve you, but the ones that are important and that will serve you do take work. Okay. They're not just easy. I know sometimes you can just look around and think they have these effortless, never-ending amount of relationships in their life that they don't have to do anything to maintain, or they don't have hardships in. It's not true. Every single relationship takes work. Oh, this is a big one. Lesson 26. Motherhood does not mean martyrdom, okay? Just because you're a mother doesn't mean you have to be a martyr. A mother doesn't have to self-sacrifice all the time. You're allowed to take back. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to say, no, I'm not sacrificing that for my family, for my children. Of course, there are things that you have to, and that is just in the role of being a mother. That does not mean every single thing. You are allowed to have things for yourself as a mother. In fact, it'll probably make you a better mother. And in the pits of my postpartum depression, I had to learn this. Being a mother does not equal being a martyr. Let go of guilt. Let go of the mum guilt. Stop beating yourself up every single day for being human, for having human feelings, for having human experiences. It is okay to want to have your own identity. It is okay to want to be more than a mother. It is okay to want to be more than just a member of your family. You are allowed your individuality and you are allowed your autonomy. Lesson number 27. Boundaries are an act of love. And this is coming from the girl who, previous to this year, didn't have a single one in her life. Boundaries for yourself and for others, massive act of love. It is a massive act of self-respect or respect for others. It is the best thing that you can do for yourself and for others is hold boundaries and hold expectations. No isn't rejection. Okay, it can just be a redirection. No doesn't automatically equal negative or bad. Okay, some no's are necessary in life and we need to learn to stay firm on them, grow a backbone and support when we are being told by our gut. Remember my lesson about listening to your gut? Respect that. When the gut says no, respect that and back that. And know by you holding those boundaries, you are showing yourself a form of self-love. One thing I always say to myself, if it was about my kid, I would have no problem saying no. When someone asks something about my daughters and I don't feel like it's the right choice, I will say no in a split second. Oh no, I don't think they should do that. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not going there. No, they're not playing with that. No, I'm not dressing them in that. No, I don't like them hearing that, phrase or being talked to like that. But then for some reason, especially in my early 20s, when it came to me, there were no boundaries. I let everyone do everything all the time. I never said no. I never stood up for myself. I never said, actually, I don't want to be treated that way. No, you can't treat me that way. Take a step back. Listen to what I have to say. Never. All right. And I realized that the best way that I could give myself value and show my self-respect was saying no. Lesson 28, you do not owe anyone access to you or your life. The biggest way I learned this was actually through social media and showing my kids' faces on social media. When I took that back and I said, you know what, actually my children's faces and knowing my children intricately and having information on my children is a privilege, and that's a privilege I don't want to share with just anyone and everyone all the time. It made me realize I don't owe anyone access to my life at all. That is a privilege that I get to choose to give to people when and if I want to. And that was so powerful and something that I will never take for granted that I learned, and I will be passing on to my children all the time. You don't owe anyone anything about you. And lesson number 29, of the 29 lessons I have learned in the last 29 years, it is okay to bloom over and over and over again. Okay? You do not have to ever feel like you have reached a finish. You can be always growing, always learning, always developing. And I think learning this has taken a lot of the pressure off me, especially lately. The idea that I have to find this like final ultimate version of myself is too exhausting. I just think to myself, look, I'm looking for something or a version of myself for this season, and then I can't wait to look for a new version when that season has served me. And I think it's okay to want to just continually be growing, to continually be hoping that, there'll be a new evolution of you and a new season of you to look forward to. I think it would be really sad if I was like, at 30, I've reached, this ultimate version of myself and that's it. For the next 50 years, I'm going to be this one version of me. Like, how boring, how crappy. I think, growth isn't a one-time thing. I think it's really beautiful that we get to evolve, and I think it is okay to keep evolving as many times as you need. Look, who knows? Maybe in a few years, I'll listen back to this episode and some of the lessons and think, girl, that's a shit lesson. You should have said this, or like, oh, now you've gone and learnt this. In fact, I hope I do. I hope I do listen back on this maybe at the end of my 30s and think, oh gosh, what juvenile lessons she's sharing. We've learned so much more. And that's okay. And that's exciting. And that is something I'm looking forward to. So there you have it, girls. My 29 lessons I wanted to share that I feel like I have learned in the last 29 years. The lessons that broke me, the lessons that grew me, and the lessons that I would be taking into my 30s. Now, it's pod course homework time. I'm calling this like my pod course homework mind after midnight, okay? This is the stuff I want you to think about when times are quiet, and this is the stuff that's really going to rejuvenate you and grow you to that next level. So this week, depending on your age, I want you to write down a number of lessons you feel like you have learned, whether recently or across your entire life. So if you're listening to this, you're 27, you're writing 27 lessons. If you're listening to this and you're 54, I'm sorry, you're writing 54 lessons that you had to have learned in the last 54 years. And if you're brave, I would love if you wanted to share one of your lessons with me. I would love to hear about it and learn from you. You can DM me either on the Up Past Bedtime Instagram or my personal Instagram. You can tag me in a story. You can tag me in a post. I would love to see anyone doing their mind after midnight tasks. I would love to know if they are helping you, if you've been enjoying the reflections and the little tasks that I've been giving you. I still have 11 more to go. I am going to have Mind After Midnights in every single episode. So it'd be really cool to hear some feedback on them if you have any, or if you liked any. You can also leave some comments on Spotify if you are a Spotify listener. But yes, I want you to also write a number of lessons you have learned based on the number of years that you are. This was a really fun episode to record. I can't believe it is my birthday next week. The weekend before my birthday's on the Monday. So the weekend before, I am actually taking the girls away for the weekend with a couple of other families, which is going to be so fun, so exciting. I'm ready for the rejuvenation of like a weekend away. It'll be my first sort of holiday I'm tackling as a single parent, and I have paid for it all myself, and I'm going to handle it all myself, and I'm really proud of that. I think it'll be a big milestone and something I'm looking forward to. I'll probably have something to say about it in a future episode. Not the next episode, because that one's getting pre-recorded before my birthday weekend so that I can actually enjoy my birthday weekend off. But maybe an episode after that, I'll have something to say on it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very, very excited, and I'm very, very happy to be turning 29. I am hoping for a very beautiful and a very special birthday, and I'm also hoping you all enjoyed this episode. All right, I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to love ya, and I'm going to leave ya. Sweet dreams.